So, my friends, welcome back to a brand new XRP update video. It really has been quite a long time since I last made an XRP video for you all. I just thought, hey, it's probably about time to bring you up to date once again, just to make sure everyone is on the same page. What's the situation with buying? What's going on with long-term analysis, short-term analysis? I think it's time again. But as I said in the weeks before, so little happened that it just wasn't worth it. There just wasn't any point in making an update video, but now we're at a stage where we could be facing a decision. Before we get started, as always, feel free to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And of course, feel free to join the free Telegram talk and Signal group. If you're interested in updates, news, and signals, you're welcome to join. You'll find the link for that below, free of charge, in the video description. And if you're still looking for an exchange where you can also trade or buy XRP and more, feel free to sign up with my partner exchange, BingX. Currently, you can secure up to 11,500 USDT in bonuses. And everyone who registers using my link also has the chance to win trial funds or similar prizes during the live streams. So I'd say let's not waste any time. XRP is currently at $1.42. We've reached my buy zone. For everyone who follows me daily anyway, you know we've had months. Yes, you could say months, not years. That would be a bit too early, but we've waited months to get into my buy zone here. The buy zone was, or is, between $1.42 and $1.25. And I've always emphasized on this channel that I want this wick to be filled. This wick was then, when exactly was it again? On the 6th. It was finally filled on February 6th. We saw our low, and from there, we worked our way significantly back up again. There was a reaction of almost 50% from that point. And then there were... Again, the news came out saying, yes, XRP investors are much, much more bullish on XRP than on Bitcoin. Absolute bullshit if you ask me. So, you won't get any hopium or anything like that here. I absolutely don't see it that way at all, because when Bitcoin falls, XRP will fall just the same. And all those moon predictions of $589 or $10 per XRP, absolute moon nonsense in my opinion. So that changes absolutely nothing about my view. In any case, as I said, I've always said it's important to me that the wick gets filled, and now it has finally been filled. We've reached a buy zone. That's why it's grayed out, because all three positions are in here. Spot, these are not long positions, but spot positions that are being picked up. The most important question is, could that have already been it for the dip? And now we're heading into a possible target zone here from 2.40 to 2.70. Let's take a quick look at the XRP ETFs, because they're always kind of used as a point of focus. And people always say, yeah, XRP is so awesome and it's just being bought up. And yes, the XRP ETFs are being bought, but let's be honest, the Canary XRP ETF for the last 3 days has had zero inflows. Altogether, we've seen a total of about 4 million, almost 5 million in inflows for XRP. In between, there was also a larger outflow of 6 million. So to offset all these purchases here, they've all been sold off again. So it really doesn't look like XRP ETFs are the game changer. So, of course, it's good that they're here. I've already said that, and I'm definitely not against ETFs. But for me, it's just that as soon as ETFs are around, it's Wall Street's bitch. That's the case with Bitcoin, and it's the same with other ETFs as well. As sure, it's attractive for the broader masses, but in the end, it's also about the Wall Street mentality, and they can do whatever they want with it. So, point number one. So, the ETFs, nice and all, as I said, but the outflows have now arrived as well, and XRP has seen its low point for now. So, at the moment, there are two possibilities. Yes, it can go up or down, but that's not the point right now. For me, as I said, what was always important was that the wig was filled. The wig has been filled. So now we have two target zones. If this entire movement here was the A, meaning the wig from October 10th, if that was the A, the recovery was the B, then we are currently in the middle of the C. And my buy zone 1 was only a fraction of what could still be ahead of us, because buy zone 2, and thus the larger buy zone for me, is another 50 to 55% lower, namely between 70 and 60 US dollars. For everyone who has been following the channel for a while, you know that there is still a target that I would absolutely not write off. In fact, for me, as long as I expect Bitcoin prices below $50,000, I consider it absolutely realistic and would not rule it out at all. Anyone who says, never again XRP below $1, sorry, that's an absolute lie, or rather, no. If I've learned one thing in the last 50 years I've been in the crypto market, it's never say never. And there were also people who said, Bitcoin will never be below 70,000 again. Bitcoin will never be below 80,000 again. And yet, it happened. So much for that topic. Or in the last bull run, people said, for example, with Bitcoin, Bitcoin will never fall below its old all-time high. What happened? We fell below the old all-time high. So I would never put any stock in things like that. And it's still all about risk management and DCA. Why did I buy at this zone now? Because of the wig. That has been my plan for months. The plan has remained unchanged. That's why I bought small DCA positions, and now wait and see. At the moment, we're even slightly in the green with that. That's not really a bad thing. So as I said, if this was the A, the B, the recovery, then for the C, we have to assume that we'll see prices of at least 84 cents. Why 84 cents? My buy zone is actually even lower. This zone down here can also be adjusted slightly. And I have the pivot here, the yearly pivot. The S1 is at about 84 cents plus. If we also turn on the vectors here on the daily chart, we can see quite a few over here as well. Green vectors lying around. That means this whole pump that happened here back then, in my opinion, these are all just vectors that should be filled sooner or later. Secondly, the volume. The volume was at its highest here. Since then, there has been no volume at all for XRP in the market. We've only ever seen slight new all-time highs. The XRP big holders, including Ripple, continued to sell off up there. This is all confirmed. It's not nonsense I'm telling you here. And that's basically it. Since then, not much has really happened. That's why I believe if this really is the ABC formation, we'll probably see our bottom somewhere between 85 cents and about 60 cents. That's still the plan for me at the moment. The bullish scenario, but for that, we also have to work through all the geopolitical issues. Carry trade, geopolitical uncertainties, gold would have to fall significantly. At the moment, everything would have to de-escalate. And interest rates would also have to fall, which currently doesn't seem likely at all before June, July, or August. That means money is more expensive for longer, interest rates higher for longer, and that's not a good sentiment for the market. Should anything change nonetheless, that's why I've already entered here, and that's also why I've set up protection in this buy zone. As I said, okay, then I could also imagine a different formation, namely that everything here has already played out, and that we would then move in this range between $2.40 and $2.80. And then we could assume that this entire movement here was just the A wave, this up here was the B, and then we would go down with the C wave. That would be the bullish scenario, but it would also mean that up here I would at least sell off 75% of the XRP I bought, or rather, I would take profits up here again. Because I don't expect that we will then head towards $4 or $5, but rather that this is just a relief rally. What speaks against it? As I said, the trend is clear. It's directed downward. So first we would have to break through the resistance currently at $2.17. We would have to break through the pivot here, which we've already seen act as resistance. So everything currently points more towards down. Why don't I keep buying all the time? XRP, it's too risky for me. And I said I don't want to clutter up my portfolio with random altcoins anymore. I've made that decision, and that's how it's going to stay. That's why the buy zones for accumulation, once here and once down here, which will probably move a bit higher if we get into these areas or if Bitcoin works out a bottom. That means I'm still bearish on XRP. I'm bearish on the entire crypto market. I'm basically bearish on everything. Bearish unless something changes geopolitically, and that's my opinion on XRP. Feel free to share your opinion in the comments below. But do you think XRP will never go below $1 again? Is XRP only heading towards $4, $5, $10, $20, $100 now? Or not that either? I'd be interested to know. Otherwise, that's it from my side for sure. Thank you for watching. I wish you all a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your time. Try to look at the charts a little less, and that's it from me. We will catch up again on Sunday for the live stream or on Monday with a new video. Until then. Ciao, ciao, and as always, stay crypto.